I think the controversy of Bad Bunny uh, performing at the Super Bowl brings into light what most people have known for a long time. A huge majority of the population of the United States is extremely ignorant. Why are you protesting Bad Bunny um, performing at the Super Bowl when a lot of foreigners have performed? J Lo performed at the Super Bowl. Rihanna has performed at the Super Bowl. Paul McCartney has performed at the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people have performed at the Super Bowl who are not Americans. And to add to that, why are you protesting uh, a Spanish speaker performing at the Super Bowl when almost 50 million Americans speak Spanish? Like, that is about 15% of your population speak Spanish. And then on top of that, I think the main problem with this whole kerfuffle is that most Americans don't know that Puerto Rico is actually a part of America. It's a territory of America. It's part of the American empire. And Bad Bunny is actually an American, technically. So, of all the people that you'd protest and say he should be performing at the Super Bowl, he's not a real American. We want real American music and all those things. It's it shows an incredible level of ignorance. It's just astounding that people think like this and fall into this trap of politics without doing some research. Now, I could understand maybe protesting that his political views are contrary to yours. Like, okay, maybe he's he's left leaning, so I don't want left leaning people performing at the Super Bowl. But I would argue that most people who have performed at the Super Bowl are left leaning people. There have been very few right leaning people. And yes, you can argue that if someone is to perform for a national audience, they should try by all means to temper their political views because they're trying to connect with a diverse audience on both sides of the political spectrum. But as much, I'm not really a fan of Bad Bunny's music and that type of music. I don't subscribe to that side of the musical spectrum. But the choreography and the theater in that performance was pretty good. Even if you couldn't understand any word of what they were saying, it was pretty good. It was worth paying attention to. And I don't think people should complain about not understanding music when several hits in the last couple of years have been non English songs. For instance, Gangnam Style. What was the other? Gangnam Style was a Korean song, and then there was Desperado, which was Spanish, and several other songs that are very catchy, even though you may not understand what they're saying. So this ultimately boils down to the immigration issue, whereby people feel like this is a protest against ICE. The inclusion of Bed Bunny was a protest against ICE, and they feel like it's kind of like the Colin Kaepernick situation where people were like, no, don't do political protests with my football, this and that. I don't want to see that. Which, yeah, you have a point. If you're right leaning and saying, I don't want to see left leaning views while I'm trying to disconnect from politics. But also, there are some extreme cases that require protest. And we've seen that in history. We've seen that with the Vietnam War, where Muhammad Ali protested, and he was slammed for it because he was supposed to just box. I don't need your political views. You should just dribble. I don't need your political views. You should just play hockey. This and that. I don't need you to tell me what to think. I need you to entertain me. So you can understand that sentiment. But then also with what has happened in the past couple of weeks, the killing of two American citizens, the obvious disregard for human rights when incarcerating illegal immigrants, and the conduct of ICE in general has been uh, put adjacent to the Gestapo. So you would understand that people's emotions are inflamed, and they do want to take those views out on a public platform. And which platform is more powerful and bigger than the Super Bowl? It happens once a year. All eyes are on the screen during that time. So I would argue that that is the best place to actually protest if you were to protest. And not that the performance was overly political. I don't think there was much. There was some slight undertones of politics, yes, but it wasn't too political. And I think that was the right route to take, to not make it overly political, because that would have just exploded everyone's minds, even though they are being exploded as we speak with the slight nudge towards inclusivity. So I just think this makes the people who are complaining look bad. You know, it makes them look bad because you're like, okay, all right, we understand you don't want immigrants, but can you at least try to have some sense in your argument? Don't be overly emotional. Don't just react and just say, all right, because my political views are in this direction, I'm just going to scream at anything without analyzing it. And it just makes you look stupid. It makes you look ignorant, as is the case with this latest outrage, because ultimately Puerto Rico is a part of America. And for instance, I would argue that the people who have a lot to protest about are actually the Puerto Ricans. The people in Puerto Rico cannot vote for the president, I think. I'm not well versed about exactly what is their how tied they are to the U.S. political system, but I'm pretty sure they are not. They don't have the full citizens' rights of mainland America. I don't think as a Puerto Rican you can be born there and become a president. Not to mention a senator. I don't know, but they are basically they don't have the same amount the same political power as the states. So that in itself is not fair. Why not make it the 51st state? Why not make it a part of America and just include them? Because they know why. Because it's not majority white. If it was majority white, it would have been a state a long time ago. And the same goes for all the other territories like American Samoa and all the small island pieces that are connected to the USA. They're just being used as geopolitical arms. They're just being used as like the U.S. Virgin Islands. They're just being used as tax havens, things like that. So they have more to complain than the people who don't want to see Spanish music during their halftime show.